Greetings from Costa Rica, folks. I hope you're doing well. This is Matt Rosensteel, aka Costa Rica Matt, broadcasting live from gorgeous Playa Flamingo here in Guanacaste, Costa Rica. This is a special live real estate forum done from the fourth floor of the Oceanica building here, looking out over one of Guanacaste's fastest growing hotspots. As always, our live chats here, the real estate forum, we do every Thursday live here. You can post a listing. I'll post my comments. It's a real estate forum here for anybody interested in Costa Rica. My assistant Dimitri is standing by waiting for your messages. If you want to send him a question about real estate in general, if you want to send a real estate listing and ask for my opinion on it, don't hesitate to send it to Dimitri. His contact information can be accessed if you hold your phone up and scan this QR code. Again, for all of us less tech-oriented people out there, you'll want to go to your camera function on your smartphone and then point it at the QR code on the screen, and you'll be able to get Dimitri's contact information immediately to send him a message, ask him about a real estate listing, and have my response. Today we've got a few different properties we're going to talk about. We have one person who asked about the Crocs Casino in Jaco, and I finally got some good feedback from my colleague David Carr in Jaco on that one. We also have a property in Playa Grande, Las Ventanas, and a couple others that we're going to look at today. First and foremost, I want to explain a little bit about why I'm sitting here in Playa Flamingo on the fourth story of the Oceanica building. And as you might be guessing, I actually have a new exclusive listing here at this property. This is the balcony of a 2-bedroom condo that has honestly one of the best possible ocean views in Guanacaste. If you want to look behind me, you can clearly see we're not talking about a peekaboo view here. We have the sound of the ocean. The waves is inescapable here. You've got a direct line of sight view down to the white sand at Playa Flamingo. If you look out the other window of this particular condo, you're looking down at the Flamingo Marina. And before we get started talking about our specific listings today, I want to touch on the Flamingo Marina and its importance to this area of Guanacaste. I have met a realtor who is in her 40s, who grew up in this area, who remembers that as a child, they were going to do the Flamingo Marina, this $35 million project that actually just got implemented. You're looking at the marina is actually on the other side here in Potrero Bay rather than Flamingo itself. And this project literally took decades because in Costa Rica, the coastal protection laws are absolutely strict, and there is nothing more difficult to do than to develop oceanfront property. And there's nothing more exceedingly difficult to do than to actually build something in the ocean itself, like the marina. They just started selling the different commercial spaces and boat slips in the marina itself. And really, this project has been so anticipated for so long because, quite frankly, there are not many marinas in Costa Rica. Their lack of coastal development here means that really the laws have made it so that there is not an enormous amount of construction right on the beach. There aren't many places where you can park larger boats. Up north, you've got the Papagayo project and a marina up there. In Playas del Coco, there are opportunities. And so an hour south of Playas del Coco, you had no option except for, parking your boats in the bay here at Potrero until recently. And now with the creation of this marina, you're seeing property values go absolutely through the roof. Uh, you can basically, in the Flamingo market itself, there are very few listings available. And whatever you see that is still for sale is going to be a situation where the seller is able to ask their price, and they're going to be able to get it because Flamingo is a very finite place and one of the absolute prime locations here in Guanacaste. You will not see many more marinas built over the coming years in Costa Rica. And because this is one place with a marina, it's going to continue to be an absolutely prime spot in Guanacaste here. Not to mention the fact that you have immediate direct access to private schools, healthcare, supermarkets. All of the amenities are right in this area as well in Playa Flamingo that makes it just very easy for people to move in here. Teddy Castro. Yes, you actually do have a couple of golf courses somewhat nearby. Reserva Conchal is just to the south of Flamingo at Bracelito. Conchal has a private course. There you can they've been opening it up more over the years, and I think right now at Conchal you can actually get on the course if you don't own property there. You might have to be associated with somebody who owns property there or have a room at the resort reserved. But Conchal is private, and then further south, about 45 minutes to an hour driving distance from Flamingo itself, you've got the golf course at Hacienda Pinilla. So those are the two closest golf courses we have. Conchal is only 10 minutes down the road from where I'm sitting. And if you figure out some way to get into that course, to be honest, it's a superior course to what's available at Hacienda Pinilla. Or rather, they have irrigation year-round at Conchal that is not available at Hacienda Pinilla, and you see Pinilla's course dries out during the dry season. Without further ado, let's bring up our first real estate forum listing that we would like to pull up here. We had one viewer ask us about a lot listed for sale in the Las Ventanas community outside of Playa Grande. This is a lot in the Cenicero phase of the Las Ventanas neighborhood. And here, for more real estate forum fun, you can bring up the listing here by, again, setting your camera to the or phone to the camera function, scanning that QR code, and it will send you to the listing here, which is actually a $299,000 piece of property in the Las Ventanas neighborhood. I want to share my screen here if I'm able to do so and give you an idea of the layout of where Las Ventanas sits in the Grande area. Las Ventanas itself is a mile or two back from Grande. Here, you've got the paved intersection at Huacas. I'm sitting up here in Flamingo again. And down here in Grande, you see the Las Ventanas neighborhood is built as soon as the Google Maps loads up here a little bit outside of town. The Cenicero phase is one of, I don't know, 8 or 9 different neighborhoods that they have in the community. And Las Ventanas is a perfect example of the limited number of high quality gated communities in Guanacaste right now. They have paved roads throughout Las Ventanas. They have very good bylaws that restrict people to doing quality construction. They have a consistent aesthetic there that's really sort of that tropical modern architecture style. But for example, if we're talking about a $299,000 piece of property, and this lot that we're talking about is a half acre, really $299,000 for a non-ocean view half acre in Las Ventanas is, just like everything, representative of our peak market right now. You have so many people who want to live in those high quality gated communities in Guanacaste. Las Ventanas is one of very few. In Grande, you've got only Las Ventanas as a true gated sort of enclave sort of feeling community. Um, you also have in the area, really, you have to come towards Brasilito to find either Conchal, Mar Vista, or uh, really there's not another great gated community that's an option in Grande, at least of that sort of caliber. So whereas I am sure if we pulled the comps for all of these properties, we would see that these non-ocean view half acres, I would imagine that 3 or 4 years ago they were selling in the mid 100,000, 150, 125 kind of range. Whereas nowadays there are few properties left for sale in Las Ventanas specifically, and really the demand for gated inventory is such that you've got a price now at $300,000 that is significantly above what you would have seen 4 or 5 years ago. Now, that's not to say Las Ventanas is any different than other, gated communities in the area, or that there's crazy like demand specifically for it. However, I do think that people need to understand their historic listing prices. And just right here, I did want to mention we had actually pulled the comps for the Las Ventanas neighborhood a while ago. Well, I don't have the lots for Cenicero pulled right here. But for example, right here, you can see some of the lower lots in the community. These down here in this phase are very much, they're not ocean view, but the same sort of story. Half acre lots that we're selling at 135 for something that's significantly smaller, 165 at the end of 2020 for a lot that's actually a bit bigger than the lot in question. So really, just like everywhere, prices have gone up in Las Ventanas. There's not going to be a ton of new communities like it built in Grande specifically, or Guanacaste in general. And so with time, even somebody who pays $300,000 to purchase a Cenicero lot in Las Ventanas now is actually going to see their investment probably appreciate over time, despite it being a higher price now. At Las Ventanas, I cannot speak specifically to how much the HOA fees are on that listing. Maybe we've got them here on the profile. I don't know if it's on the list there. I would say that Las Ventanas is one of the places with lower fees than other gated communities because, first of all, they have a lot of lots of, tons of properties and homes in the community that are all sharing the single security cost. So you've got great, the costs are defrayed among a lot of properties. And they really only have one simple community center that's a pool with a nice clubhouse. For the size of Las Ventanas, it's actually a fairly small community center. You've seen other communities with a lot bigger common amenities, but at Las Ventanas, they really have the feeling that pretty much everyone builds their own pool at their property, and that the community clubhouse isn't necessarily a focal point for everyone in Las Ventanas. So very much, the fees aren't going to be the highest in Guanacaste. Offhand, I would roughly guess. Actually, we just pulled them up. HOA fees are $310 per month. That might be for a specific listing that we pulled up there, but really you're going to see that Las Ventanas fits in the lower range of gated communities, whereas in other places you might be paying 500, 750, $1,000 a month for the really high quality, exclusive gated communities. Thanks very much for those questions. As a reminder, folks, we are here for our real estate forum number 5, or V, as we like to call it, with our continuing parody of Roman history, the numerals being very appropriate. If you want to send me an email, do be sure to reach out to matt@cbpacificrealty.com. My name is Matt Rosensteel. And again, even though I normally do my live chats from my office, today I was out and about and just decided to broadcast from Oceanica 828, a condo with absolutely exceptional ocean views here in Playa Flamingo. Let's bring up the next real estate listing here so that we can keep on moving. Dimitri has brought up the Playa Negra home that's actually listed on. If you can hear what's going on behind us, we've got a very happy ceviche vendor who's driving through Flamingo with their announcement here. But anyhow, let's pull up La Meridiana, a really nice home in Playa Negra that's listed for sale at $650,000. A lot of people might immediately look at a listing like this and say, holy cow, that's a really nice Spanish colonial home. You've got an exquisite design. Everything is high quality, extremely nice aesthetic. And overall, to be honest, $650,000 for a property that measures 3,300 square feet is a low price to pay in Guanacaste's current market. Really, you're not going to find too many homes of this substantial size, 3,300 square feet, at any reasonable price in Guanacaste currently. One of the things that I want to mention in looking specifically at this home is just another example of how frequently people really need to visit a location to know everything about a property before really taking a huge interest in it. And once again here, I want to bring up my handy dandy map so that we can add that in. Let's see here. Oh, well, we may only be able to only show the map here. But an extremely important detail about this home that we're looking at, Casa La Meridiana at $650,000, is the neighborhood and the location. Here in Playa Negra, you actually have a seasonal creek that runs through the community right in this general vicinity, and it crosses the road right here. Importantly, there is no bridge across this creek to come into this little neighborhood here, which is actually right where Casa La Meridiana is located. This is a cute little neighborhood that's tucked in the woods. And looking at it from Google Maps and looking at the listing profile, everything looks spectacular because, wow, you're only 400 or 500 yards from the beach itself. You've got really a prime location just off of this major road. You've got incredible restaurants here in Playa Negra. Via Divina is there. You've got wonderful Hotel Playa Negra right on the surf break. And this house is just right back here in a seemingly innocuous location, except for this creek. If you had never visited Guanacaste before, and if you had never come during the rainy season, you might have zero idea that creek at many points of the rainy season is impassable, even if you have a decent truck. And now I should take that back. It's not many points of the rainy season. It's a creek where you only lose access on rare occasions. And really, it's a seasonal creek but the seasonal creek is there and you have to get through it to get to that particular property. And that's why, really, when people are conducting their search for real estate, again and again and again, I ask prospective buyers to please visit an area and then to take an interest in the real estate there, because you can find these listings online that in many aspects look absolutely perfect, but something about the location could provide a fundamental flaw that you wouldn't know until visiting it. And really, I can't tell you how many times I've had clients get emotionally hung up on a property that wasn't actually right for them. They may have seen online, for example, a super outdated condo listing in a particular complex, and they get this idea that, oh, wow, I want that at that price in that complex. And they come to Costa Rica and find out, for many reasons, that that condo isn't right or it's not available or whatever. And this whole time they've been building up their expectation based on something that isn't even relevant. So again, if you're out there and you're starting your Costa Rica real estate search, don't log on to real estate websites and start looking at homes. Log on to kayak.com or another travel website and book your first trip down here for as much time as you can humanly spend in a location. Because really, you want to get the best idea of what it's like to live here year round. Again, folks, this is Costa Rica Real Estate Forum number 5. Thank you very much for joining us today. We had a question from Janice, who would ask, what do condo fees generally include? For example, trash, water, roof, etc. In Costa Rica, by and large, your condo fees are going to cover security, maintenance of everything outside of the condo walls, and maintenance of the common pool and common green areas. You rarely see that any sort of interior maintenance is included. Really, trash is not included. The roof, obviously, a condo association is going to have to maintain roofs themselves. Most often, condo associations do this through special assessments every 20 or 30 years when they have to get up and change the roof itself. They won't necessarily include a budget to maintain it in their monthly fees. And when it comes time to replace, that can be the source of a special assessment. You do occasionally see condo associations here that have their HOA fees covering water. That's one thing that can happen. But water bills are so cheap to begin with here in Costa Rica that that's not too big of a factor, are going to change things one way or the other. And you also do very often see condo associations buy a common insurance policy for the whole building. That would really be the question I might ask people selling condos. Do your HOA fees include a common insurance policy or not? One final question of real estate listing that we had someone ask us about was the Crocs penthouse down in Jaco. This was just a question from Gino, who wanted to know what I think about the Crocs casino down there. And I actually called a friend, David Carr, who's owner broker of Coldwell Banker Jaco. And I have to say, his comments were very interesting. Something that I had not realized is that the Crocs casino does not appear to be a formally, really clearly operating 365-day per year kind of operation at this point. And in fact, David was really sort of skeptical as to whether or not it's completely operating on a regular basis. It closes, it comes and goes. He says it shows a lot of evidence that management just really isn't absolutely focused on keeping a fully operating, casino hotel. And in general, it was a pretty clear message of a lack of a recommendation, let's put it that way, from the expert in the Jaco area. So if you're watching and considering Crocs, all we have are some questions and somewhat negative feedback. The person to contact about that particular condo building or any project in Jaco would be David Carr himself, owner broker of Coldwell Banker Jaco. And I'm sure you can find his email address if you get online and Google it. Our last question of the real estate forum today, we had somebody ask specifically about a scenario trying to generate rental income from a 3-bedroom unit. And Dimitri's going to have to bring this up here. We can't just have the little title there. It specifically, this person wanted to know what sorts of costs and income one could expect from a particular property. I'm going to do this entirely off the cuff, and let me guarantee that my numbers are 100% precise. And here we go. Do we have it there, Dimitri? Excellent. Here's the scenario we had. This person wrote, in my nice video about property management, I quoted a net cash return of 1 to 5%. But then my guest mentioned something like 50% of gross. Can you use an example with real world numbers doing everything legal? A 3-bedroom near the beach, renting for X days, grossing X income. And there were some other questions in there as well. So first and foremost, I wanted to go back and touch on that 50% figure. That was the figure given, I think, by David himself, who's a property manager in Jaco, regarding the amount of your gross income you can immediately expect to pay from every rental for just your taxes and management fees, if I'm not mistaken. Taxes here, you're going to have the 13% sales tax that you charge to the customer, plus another basically 13 to 15% tax that you pay on your gross income. And your property manager is going to take a 20% commission on rental income to begin with. So when they mentioned 50% off the gross, they were specifically saying you have 50% of your income knocked out by management fees and taxes. And then you're working with your remaining net income to pay utilities, cleaning fees, maintenance, etc., HOA fees, on and on. I would say that a 3-bedroom condo close to the beach, if it is in a tourism area like Tamarindo, Flamingo, Potrero, you should be able to achieve 60 to 70% rental occupancy if your condo is aesthetically pleasing, well managed, and priced within the good range in the market, not going too high above what other people are charging. Again, I think you can do 60 to 70% occupancy in a tourism area with a 3-bedroom by the beach. A 3-bedroom normal condo, let's say one that isn't in the luxury range, would probably be renting in the $200 to $250 per night range. Now, obviously, there are huge variable ranges where we're talking, if you're a block from the beach in Tamarindo with a 3-bedroom, you can be charging $300 to $400, really go wild with your prices. If you have a luxury condo close to the beach in Flamingo, we're talking $500, $600 a night. But if you have a humble 3-bedroom, walking distance to a normal beach, let's say $200 a night, let's call it 60% occupancy, or about 190 days per year, and let's call it $18,000 gross income from a condo, just renting it out. Let me make sure that all checks out before I just quote that online. But again, 60 to 70% occupancy, really is a well-managed condo. You can underperform that if you don't have an aggressive manager, if they're not responding fast, if they're not a super host. You'd be looking at about 220 total days of rental income. And actually, I had no idea where I was getting final numbers there. We'd be looking more at like $44,000 in gross income from a well-managed 3-bedroom close to the beach that's renting it 220 nights a year at $200 average per night. $44,000, you'd imagine 22 immediately for your taxes and property management. Then you look at perhaps $5,000 of HOA fees, and we're down to 17 in net income. If you have a $300 a month electric bill, your utilities would be another $4,000, and we're down to 13. Now with your $13,000 in net income, you probably have to clean the condo at least 30 times that year, and I would estimate at $40 per cleaning. You lose another $1,200. We're down to $11,800 in net income for you to pay the remaining, let's say, your internet bill, your plane tickets down, and the other maintenance on the condo, besides the cleanings that I mentioned at $1,200. So right there, we went from $44,000 to 11 in a scenario, yes, that I was throwing entirely off the cuff, but where really I could go on and on coming up with the potential costs that are going to come up. And quickly, you see that this condo that you purchased, the income you're generating from renting it 220 nights a year can end up leaving you with a small, let's say 1 to 5% net cash on cash return from your condo. Again, totally off the cuff, so don't trust those numbers whatsoever, but that's sort of how I would look at a rental unit here. And more than anything, if you're considering investing in Costa Rica, I always stress that ROI and real net returns are not Costa Rica's top strong suit. It's expensive to do business here. Taxes are there, and the government is going to keep passing them. And there's only going to, there's never going to be less taxes. This is not an amazing country for net returns on investments and to leave properties on autopilot. If you want to invest in Costa Rica, really, you're better off if you're focused on enjoying your property yourself, if you're looking for the quality of life that comes with owning a property here. Anyhow, folks, this was my real estate forum. As always, it's been a huge pleasure. Join me next Friday, March 10th. We're going to go ahead and switch it. We'll do it at noon on Friday. I'll look forward to seeing you again. Maybe not from such quite an exquisite location. To wrap up here, I do want to quickly never mind. The mic was plugged in there. We're going to call it quits, folks. Have a great weekend and pura vida.